theatre, film, TV and more. Suzy Wrong reviews it all on Joy Drive with Em and Warren.
Good afternoon, Suzy Wrong.
Good afternoon. I just realised today that I've stopped buying myself Christmas presents.
Oh, why is that?
Yeah. I think I've become incapable of delaying gratification.
Oh, incapable of delaying gratification.
Yeah, I guess if you're going to buy yourself a present, you're not going to wait till Christmas to like unwrap a gift you've already bought yourself.
I think that I'm buying things for myself all the time these days. I think it's become like a COVID thing where I'm just like at home, and I'm spending much more time at home the last couple of years, and you just do nothing but just shop online.
But
there's nothing left to buy.
But shopping online is sort of delaying gratification anyway, isn't it? Because you do the purchase and then you've got to wait for it.
True, exactly. You're waiting enough.
So it's forced Christmas.
Do you guys buy things for yourself for Christmas?
I have not bought myself anything. I haven't done any gifts really for Christmas at all for anyone, including myself. But I'm also not an online shopper. I don't know. Shopping's not my thing. I don't know what my thing is, but I don't know.
And Christmas is just not a really big thing for the both of you either.
No,
yeah, exactly.
Except for the lights. I love the lights.
You do love the lights. I did hear that. Yeah.
But that's it. That's the only value in it for me.
Yeah.
But Suzy, we are talking today about Mama's Boy, which is streaming on Binge. What's it all about?
Dustin Lance Black is known for winning an Oscar for his screenplay for the fantastic movie Milk and for being the boyfriend of British Olympian diver Tom Daley. In the documentary Mama's Boy, streaming on Binge, we discover that Black is also a child of the conservative Mormon church and of family violence, but who emerges victorious not only as filmmaker, but also as a gay rights activist. He credits a lot of his successes to his mother Anne, who had suffered the consequences of polio her entire life. Told at a young age that she would never be a mother, she eventually gave birth to 3 sons. The documentary pays tribute to Anne's strength and resilience, demonstrating how she had successfully overcome obstacles, defying medical experts and religious teachings, along with terrible husbands, to become the proud mother of a gay son. Dustin Lance Black draws parallels between his mother's ability to thrive against all odds with his own experiences as a gay man who lives loud, proud, and contrary to everything he was taught as a child to believe about himself. Mama's Boy makes the right decision to spend a lot of time on Anne's stories, even though it ultimately is a biography about the filmmaker himself. Black is incredibly earnest, and his outpouring of emotions when talking to camera can feel somewhat performative, but I remind myself that it is good to see grown men crying, much as it can make for awkward viewing in this instance. I wish Anne was around to tell her side of all these stories, like I wish I had had the wherewithal to speak more to my mother when she was alive about the difficulties she had been through and the injustices she had suffered as a woman in the 20th century. Em and Warren, is Mama's Boy a film you would recommend?
I am so glad that you mentioned the
crying.
Yes. And because, okay, my fundamental feelings are, you know, it's an incredible story. It's a story of triumph. It's a story of resilience. It's a story of, you know, getting knocked down multiple times and keep like continuing to get up. However, I just felt like those bits to camera were just so, I was like, obviously it's your story. Yes. Without a doubt. But it just felt a little fake. Like that, I was literally this morning, I was thinking about how can I say this to Suzy and Warren without sounding mean, but I'm so glad you said it before me, Suzy, because now I can breathe. I felt that.
What about the younger brother, though? I felt like the younger brother had a lot more trauma there and was more authentic.
But that's because he's not in the film and TV industry, I think. You know, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. The younger brother had a lot of emotion, but you didn't feel like it was
fake in any way.
Faked. I think Dustin Lance Black, it feels unnatural because I don't think people sit there sort of quite comfortably just crying for the longest time. I think the natural instinct is for people to draw back tears, and it's natural for us to kind of try to shut down and block it and say, sorry, give me 5 minutes. But he's just kind of just letting it flow, which makes it strange to watch. But at the same time, you also know that these feelings must be real. You know,
exactly.
The whole thing is real. It's just, I think just watch it is a bit unnatural somehow.
It's funny, I didn't get that feeling that it was unnatural, I must admit, throughout it. I thought it was just coming out because he was sort of quivering as he spoke, but maybe you're right. Maybe he is a really good actor. But
No. It wasn't even. It wasn't even necessarily the crying. I think it was because like all the other people that you meet throughout the film are being interviewed, right? So they're basically saying, hey, on this date in this year what happened, and then they say, you know, what happened, right? And it's literally like an interview where they're telling you as if it, you know, just very organically. What I think the difference is with Dustin's to camera moments is they feel like a filmmaker wrote them, because the words that
I
he
see.
uses to emote the things, the structure of the language that he's like telling the story in is very like narrator. And then you have that sitting with, you know, obviously his personal lived experience, and for whatever reason it just, I don't know, there was like a something.
It becomes less impulsive. Like it becomes, when we switch to him from other people who are just talking from memory. That's right. That's a really good observation.
we are talking about Mama's Boy, which is streaming on Binge with Suzy Wrong. You know, something that struck me in the initial, I suppose, first half hour of the movie was, you know, polio and how bad it was, and how sad that his mum missed out on the vaccinations by, you know, probably several months or a couple of years or what have you. And then it impacted her for the rest of her life. And yes, she was amazing in terms of overcoming that polio. But it just made me think, you know what? Vaccines are good.
Yeah.
Vaccines are really cool, and vaccines are good. And thank God we had a polio vaccine, because we could still be suffering from it today.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's become such a thing that, you know, the advances that we have made in medicine and in other spaces, that people forget how much work has to be done for what feels like normal. And then they'll just sort of leave it behind, which is why, you know, people kind of are reacting. There's some people who are reacting against vaccines. I almost feel like, do you not know what it was like before?
I agree. Em and Suzy, what did you think of the church, the Mormon church? And their, I guess they were hiding, weren't they, when his mother had the second husband, and the second husband, I think, had murdered his previous attempted murder of his previous wife, and they didn't,
and then attempted to murder Anne.
Yeah, and they didn't disclose that in the the arranged marriage.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a very bad time.
Yeah, exactly. It was a time, you know. I feel like it was, bad.
And then the fact that he was unhappy in the marriage. Well, they said the reason he was attempting violence and attempting murder was because he was in an unhappy environment, and as though it was her fault.
Yeah, no, it was terrible.
I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked by that.
It was an interesting... I kind of appreciated the way that they handled that relationship, the family's relationship with the church, and the way that it kind of morphed and changed and grew throughout the morphing and changing and growing of both the family and the story. Like by the end, you know, there's the Pride March situation, and that's a really powerful moment for Dustin, because he was in that church and he never felt like he could be his full, authentic gay self in that church. And then, you know, through obviously lots and lots of people's, you know, activism and you know, proud out loudness, they get to a point where there's Mormons in the Pride Parade.
They do. And, you know, the other positive thing that they talk about is how they helped them during times when they needed help. But I've got to say, though, something that I sort of the whole movie sort of glossed over for me was this thing of, you get people with opposing views together, you talk together, and then you learn about the other person's view, you overcome it. Yeah. That's true, and it was really good in theory, but you've got to remember a lot of these places and these organisations do not allow us to come in and have those conversations and those experiences, and we are excluded. So it's not as easy as what I felt the documentary made out it would be. It's not the solution for all.
The religion part is so much bigger than the film was trying to portray, I think. He was trying to show the narrative of his relationship with his mother through the years and his own journey through the years, and religion was an element of that. But our understanding, if we know that religion is much more than that. It affects things in a much even more powerful way than the way that he's portrayed. I think because he's got quite comparatively good relationship with religion, so maybe that's why he chose to portray it that way in a fairly positive light. But I share what you feel, Warren. Like, I feel like, I don't feel like that's my experience of the thing, and that's not my observation of what religion's done to a lot of people. And sometimes he does reveal that, he has sustained some long-term damage from the religion, but he was just a bit too kind, I think, maybe.
Yeah, we're chatting with Suzy Wrong about Mama's Boy, which is currently streaming on Binge. I guess that's the thing with this film, right? At the end of the day, it's one person and one family's story. So you kind of have to take it as it is. And I think...
And one person who's become very privileged and successful.
Exactly. And now now is in a position where people like, heads of churches and heads of government want to be in a room with him.
Yes, exactly.
that is a privileged position to be in, especially when we talk about, conversing and exchanging ideas. They're not going to converse and exchange ideas with anybody.
And HBO wanting to make a film about his life. It's all about... how he has, fair enough, like queer people want to see success stories, that's important. But I wish he was a bit more sensitive to the fact that he's coming from a lot of privilege, telling things from a very privileged position, and be a bit more sensitive to all the people who didn't make it out, including the women that get killed by their husbands in the Mormon church.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I think... It's an interesting perspective for sure, because obviously the lived experience of his mother, and therefore him and his brothers, it was affected by all of that stuff. But I guess from his perspective, he's come out, not relatively unscathed, but he's come out with this career and with this, foundation of support, I guess.
And his brother... didn't have that same experience that he had. Something else that I did like in the film, though, is it is another reminder of, the history of LGBTIQ plus activist Harvey Milk as well. And, we did have that movie produced. And, you got to give him credit. It was great that he did do that movie.
Yeah, that was a fantastic film. I love that film. When I started watching it, I didn't realize that he was the person who wrote it, and I thought, all right, it was going to be great, because the film felt a lot more sensitive. I thought the film felt a lot more complex. His autobiography feels a bit less complex. It feels like maybe it's just a simpler, easier life than Harvey Milk's life, and therefore, even though I did shed a tear or two, ultimately I felt like it wasn't that moving for me at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why.
I shed a tear or two as well, but again, not overly moving.
I don't know if I even shed a tear, but I was on the tram when I was watching it for most of it.
Oh, that's probably why.
So it has to be something really, really, really moving for me to shed a tear on the tram, which I will add has happened in the past, but not in this instance.
Yeah, I think that the title of it and the movie poster made it look like it was going to be seriously touching, but it was okay. It's a fine watch, and it's a good bit of content for LGBT viewers, gay men especially. I think it'll be good to see how someone comes out the other side victorious, and a 50-year-old man that looks like he's 25 is
okay. Can we talk about that for a second? I googled how old he was, and I was like, "Are you kidding?" Because they said like 1974, right? They were like blah 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 1970, and then he was like, "And I was born," and I was like, "What?"
I was looking at I was looking at myself in the mirror and going, "Hang on,
how is that possible?" That's the most.
Yeah,
wow.
Let's talk about that, Suzy. What do we need to do?
I think that would be the better film. Like if he tells us all his beauty secrets.
I was trying to think that too. I was thinking you look 30.
I genuinely stopped the film, went into my search engine and was like, did some maths, and I was like, what?
Yeah, like, why are you talking about the 70s?
Exactly. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Stop it. You're lying.
We all thought the same thing. Suzy, next week, you're having the week off?
We all are.
Yes. But for your holiday viewing pleasure, I'd recommend The Sex Lives of College Girls, also available on Binge, and I look forward to speaking with you about it when Joy Drive returns after Christmas. Have a wonderful time, and it's bye for now.
Suzy, before you go, we just want to thank you for, your generosity in giving your time every week to us and the Joy Drive family. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I love this time with the Joy Drive family.
We love you, Suzy. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Suzy.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye. That's Suzy Wrong, Joy Drive's TV, film and theatre reviewer, back next year with plenty more.
Yes.